Hello, my name is Sam, my pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to my office. It is already a couple days into July, but I'm still prepping for a full-blown August reset because if you did not know, I have been traveling like a crazy person and complaining about it non-stop. The struggle has been real, and now traveling is over. I'm done. I don't ever want to travel ever again. So with that being said, I am ready to get back into my regular life. So with that comes a massive reset for the month of August, which is pretty standard for me. I feel like I do a reset at the end of every summer because I hate the summer, and I love August because it signifies that summer is almost over. So with that, let's kind of barge right into a quick wrap up from July, and then we will talk about the August resets that I am doing to try and hopefully make my existence a little bit better. So in the month of July, I think I read 14 books, and I've organized them from 1 star all the way down to 5 star. Within their categories, they're not really organized very much. So I had no 1 stars and I had no 2 stars. My lowest rated book of the month was The Silent Patient by Alex something. Starts with an M. I can't pronounce the last name. I don't even want to butcher it. So I didn't really like it. I have finally decided to give up on this author. I will not read anything from him ever again. He's very much like I'm bored throughout the majority of the book, but the last 20 pages, I'm going to give you like the biggest roundabout of your entire life. And I'm just not down for that. I didn't like it. So I'm done with that author. I also read Queer Little Nightmares. I gave that a 3.5 stars. That was an anthology of classic horror rewritten into like a queer lens. I thought that was fantastic. I think that 3.5 stars is a fantastic rating for an anthology. I went into it much more in depth in my summer ween videos, and I like broke it down story by story pretty much. I also read The Sea Witch by Katee Robert. I gave that a 3.5 star, and I don't really want to talk very much about Katee Robert. She is my guilty pleasure author, and I just kind of love her, and I read her mostly on road trips. It's her Disney, like, Wicked Villains series. It's very smutty, very good all around. Now moving on to 4 stars, I had the most 4 stars this month. I had Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield, which is a sapphic underwater horror. It was fantastic. I really loved the narrative structure of it. I had The Beast by Katee Robert. That was again part of the Wicked Villain series. I think that one was a Beauty and the Beast, like 3-person polycule. I don't know all the romance jargon. It's not my area of expertise. I don't really want to like full on discuss the romance that I read the majority of the time. I also read Manhunt by Gretchen Felker-Martin, which I loved. It was a post-apocalyptic zombie story focused on 3 trans people, and the zombies were all people with testosterone, and they were the only ones infected. Oh, it was brutal. It was brutal, it was gory, it was great. I also read Summer Sons by Mandelo, which was a southern gothic horror about 2 queer boys who had been best friends their entire life, and one of them, everyone assumes, offed himself, but the other boy kind of realizes that he didn't, as his ghost is haunting him. I also read The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas, which was amazing. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I thought that it was just going to be like a cute little YA horror. It was not. It was really scary. About Jake Livingston, who is like a 16-year-old Black boy who goes to an almost all-white school, and he can see ghosts. But there is a school shooting a couple schools over or whatever, and the shooter ends up killing himself, and in the afterlife continues his killing rampage and tries to take over Jake's body. It's fantastic. I also read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett. I thought it was really cute. It was really sweet. It's about this scholar who goes to this really remote area to study fairies, and she definitely gets herself in to situations far more than she can handle. I really enjoyed her as a main character, and I enjoyed her dynamic with the love interest a lot. I thought they were very cute. It's definitely a cozy fantasy. It's not like my perfect cozy fantasy, but it was a very good one. I enjoyed it. I'll continue on with the series. And then I gave A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher 4.5 stars. That one was terrifying. So it's about this woman who is a bug archaeologist who goes onto a dig site. They find human remains. She gets furloughed while they deal with that entire situation. And she goes to live with her mother for a few months. She thinks her mother's going crazy, but she is not. Her mother is definitely being haunted. And oh, T. Kingfisher just describes creatures in the most vile, disgusting way. It was fantastic. I loved it. And now for my 5 stars, to no one's surprise, as I've been talking about this for the entire month, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sanagu Mandana. I gave that 5 stars. Fantastic, lovely, amazing. If you are looking for a good replacement because he does garbage things and does not take responsibility for his actions, this personally I thought was better than The House on the Cerulean Sea. Like, as a book, I thought it was better. I thought it was a better story. I thought that the way that children were treated and put into a light was more understanding and much better. Ultimately, it was just a way better story. And I stand by that, and I will continue on with the series, and I can't wait for the next book to come out. I also read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I gave that 5 stars. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It was a very, very short fungal horror novella. It was also queer, and it was just really interesting and fun to experience. So I think that fungal horror is just like the peak, most perfect kind of horror that there is, personally. And then my final book that I'll talk about this month was This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal el-mohtar. So this was entirely unexpected. I did not expect what I got from this at all. I only picked this up because I've been seeing it everywhere on TikTok. It's like less than 200 pages, and it's letters between 2 people who are jumping timelines to try and like go against the other person, and it's their letters back and forth, and we slowly watch them fall in love and the duality and the struggle of like falling in love with the enemy. It was so good. It was so good. I loved every second of it. So I did not bring out any physical copies of things. I only read like 4 things that I even have physical copies of, but there are definitely a lot of books on this list that I now need to go out and buy. So I would say that July, despite its pure and utter chaos, was really successful. I missed a book in there. I missed a Katie Roberts book in there. It was the last book in the Wicked Villain series that's out right now. Queen Takes a Rose or something. I think I gave it a 3.5. I don't want to talk about those anyway. So with the July book wrap up comes a wrap up of my shenanigans of the month. And basically it was just me being completely off my routine and my schedule for the entire month of July. And it was awful. So if you don't know, I am autistic. I run very, very specifically on routines and schedules, and I have a hard time when I'm off them. So the past couple months I have definitely been off all of my routines and I've been having a really hard time. So with that baseline statement, let's go into my reset goals for the month of August. So my reset goals for the month of August are like basically just getting back into routine, developing a very functional routine for me and my mental health. I really struggle with self-accountability. Like, I could be the most accountable person and responsible person for other people, but I can't apply that same energy to myself, which is really hard as a new business owner. That's a weird thing to say. So the first thing that I kind of need to get out of the way is that I need to finish up my website for my new business. So I have a degree in English and a minor in editing and publishing, and I have now started up my own editing practice. I love editing so much. I think that it is so incredibly important that authors be uplifted and feel confident in their stories. And I think that a lot of the industry is not really focused on the authors themselves, but my business practices really do focus on the author. You know, your story can be fantastic, your story can be not so fantastic. Your story could need work, or it could need no work, it could need a full rewrite, it could not. There are so many things that can come into play when going through your editing journey, and every manuscript is going to be different. But what will never change is that you as an author need to feel supported and have confidence in your writing and your stories. If you don't have that support, that confidence, that person that you can go to for help, you are not going to put yourself out there to the extent that you need to succeed as an author. So your story could be the next best thing since Shakespeare, for all anyone cares. But in this climate, if you don't promote yourself, if you don't put yourself out there for the world to see, you're not really going to get very far. So that's kind of where I focus my energy, is uplifting my authors and making sure that they're doing okay, and making sure that the edits that they are receiving are never tearing them down. They're constructive, they get the job done, but that they never feel defeated and like they're ready to give up. So that's kind of where I'm at. I really need to get my website done. Website building is truly the hardest thing that I have ever done in my entire life, and I fully respect every person who works in tech, because this is misery. This is truly misery. But the goal is to get it up and running this month, because I need to be accountable to myself. We are going to focus on that, and y'all will probably see some more come up about this as I kind of go on in the month. Another really big thing that I need to focus on is getting back into my baking routine for me and my family. So I am not like a granola kind of person in the way of like I home make everything, but I do really like to every Sunday, like Saturday or Sunday, make bread, make like a dessert for the week, you know, just put a little bit of like love and effort into the foods that we consume for the week when I have the energy, because I often don't have the energy during the week. It's a really big struggle. Food and me are not on good terms, ever. So I really want to get back into that, because it's really a kind of foundational aspect of how I want my home to function and the effort that I want to put into my home. You know, it might just be me, my girlfriend, and my dog, but we still deserve like a cozy, happy home. So I think that's kind of a foundational part for me. Finally, my kind of reach goals are to get back into writing and art a little bit more. I've definitely put my writing and my art on the back burner, like hardcore. I have not actually like written in my book since November of last year, and I really need to deal with that, and I really want to get back into painting and art. I think that they are things that are like worthy for my energy and my attention, and they really help me function more on a regular basis. And I think that I need to take some of the energy that I put into other people and other tasks that revolve around making other people like happy and successful, and putting that energy into myself. So I want to kind of try to find like a writing or an art group or something. Sometimes one of the programs that I am in, we do like co-working nights, and I really love co-working night, but I have not found anything consistent that like really works with my schedule at all. So I have to figure that out, but I find that co-working schedules like really help me with my accountability. So those are kind of my reach, like my out of the way goals. Like I would be really happy to get started on them, but they are not my priority for the month. But I'm still going to try to like dip my toe into getting my shit together. Well, we're gonna go over my TBR for the month of August and some of the content things that you can expect from me going forward, because I have some plans that are currently in motion. So my TBR for August is insane. It is insane. It is probably not achievable, but I stand by it nonetheless. So we are going to fly through this. I'm not going to go super into depth into most of these because I don't really know what a lot of these are about specifically. So I already read The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I don't really want to talk about that right now. We'll talk about that later. Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. I'm currently in the middle of that. I'm really loving it. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I'm currently halfway through that. That's on my 23 of 23 list for me to go through my shelves. A Psalm for the Wilde Built by Becky Chambers. I'm currently in the middle of that as well. So I'm in the middle of 3 books right now. 1 physical, 1 audio, and 1 ebook. And then I want to get through She's a Haunting by Trang Than Tran. This has been on my TBR for months. Hero the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. This is the sequel for the Gideon the Ninth, the Locked Tomb trilogy. Want to get through that. And then we have The Daughter of Dr. Moreno by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, which is another gothic horror. And then we have The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, which is just like a cute romance, whatever. And then we have Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey, which is also on my 23 of 23 list. And then we have The Iron Knight by Julie Kagawa, which is for a new series that I am starting of going through some of my childhood favorites and finishing out those series. This was my all-time favorite series as a like late child, early teen, and I never finished it. So we're gonna go through all those together because Julie Kagawa is like a favorite, all-time favorite author, and I love her. She's still writing to this day, so I want to get back into her stuff. And then I'm being a crazy person. So someone on TikTok that I really love, I'm gonna put her right here. She's amazing. Always talks about the Bergman Brothers series, and I read one of them. So I technically read the second one in the series already, which is Always Only You, which was a hockey romance. I really, really loved it. It's under the same umbrella of the romance series that I really love, where it's like all of the worlds are interconnected, but you don't need to like read them in order. You can read them how you want. So I want to read the rest of that series just to have a nice, cute, cozy romance series to like listen to while I'm at work, because all of the vast majority of the physical books that I have for this month are, well, the physical and the ebooks are like pretty heavy in topic. So I wanted some cute romance to kind of live by. So the remaining Bergman brothers are If Only Yours by Chloe Lees, Only When It's Us, With You Forever, Ever After Always, and Everything for You. So those are my main audiobooks for the month, and I'm super excited about them. I think that they are going to be just what I need as like a nice breather for while I'm at work, while I'm driving, and while I'm sanding. And then I also have the ebook for Crier's War by Nina Varela, which I know nothing about, but I saw it on someone's favorites list. I don't even remember who, but I was like, oh, that seems cool. I think it's like a high fantasy. And then I have the ebook for Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed, which was definitely the book of hers that I was most looking forward to, because I read The Wolf and the Woodsman, and it had a trope in it that I'm just not a fan of, generally speaking. So it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't bad. I really like her writing style. So I'm super excited for Juniper and Thorn. And then finally, I do have one nonfiction that I'm going through right now, and it is Written in Bone by Sue Black. That one's an audiobook, but it's all about, like, I think it's like the bones of the Black community, I believe. I'm literally like maybe 2 minutes into it. So I put it down because I was like, okay, I need something a little bit lighter before I tap into a nonfiction. Like, I need to go through a romance or two before I tap into nonfiction right now. So that's my TBR for August. It's ridiculous. I think it's like 18 or 19 books, which is really not very feasible, but we're still gonna go with it anyway. So on top of all of those things that I am planning for the month of August, content-wise, I am actually going to be doing like a little office makeover series that I'm starting. So you'll see my bookshelves as they are now, but last year around this time I was actually renovating my bookshelves. These are just plain old IKEA Billy bookshelves that I renovated. I painted them, I added wood paneling in the back of them. So I am going to put out a part 1, I think next week, of how I managed that, especially when it comes to painting particle board. Definitely not an easy feat, but it's been a year, and any books that I pull off my shelves, they don't have any paint on them, so obviously all of the hard work that I put into them was totally worth it. And from there, I will actually, within the next couple of weeks, I will be reorganizing my bookshelves completely. I have decided against having, so right now, that bookshelf over there at the very end, those ones have individual author shelves, and I've decided that I no longer want to do that. It's not really something that I'm interested in doing, and there are some books that I need to kind of put out of the way that are going to go on the very tops of my bookshelves because they're not ones that I reach for anymore. So you know, my entire Harry Potter collection, I am going to put my Sarah J. Maas collection up there because I have issues with her as an author. Yes, I do have 2 of her symbols as tattoos on my body, and I don't regret that, but you know, I don't really condone her as an author, so we can discuss that in more length while I'm rearranging things. And ultimately, like, what I have to say isn't really going to change anything for her, so what does it really matter, you know? I'm also going to put my Cassandra Clare up there. I'm actually getting rid of the majority of my Cassandra Clare. I'm only keeping my special edition box sets because they're beautiful. Stunning. Stunning. But I'm not really interested in Cassandra Clare as an author anymore either. The only authors that are on my shelves that have like their own individual shelves that I'm really like super hardcore into still are Leigh Bardugo, V.E. Schwab, and Libba Bray. But they can all honestly just be integrated into my shelves because I need more space for the books that just keep entering my life, and I want them to be better organized. Expect those to come up, expect some like childhood book reading vlogs, expect some chaos coming your way sooner rather than later. It's going to be a fun couple months of content, and I'm very excited for it. So yeah, expect a couple office makeovers, expect all the chaos physically possible, and expect a very chaotic reading month ahead. So that would be my August wrap up and my monthly reset. I really hope that the next month or two really ends up working out in my favor, and I'm kind of hoping for September to not really need very much of a reset because hopefully August goes to plan and I can just kind of keep that momentum going. So if you are interested in sticking around and kind of learning how I do renovations for things, because I do a lot of renovations, and just kind of sticking around for the chaos, feel free to do so, and I will see everyone next week. Bye.